Hi, I'm Mike with Pine Media, and I thought I would take some time to sit down and tell you a little bit about myself. I got involved in outdoor camping with friends early on, and uh, when I was around 19, 20, camping in the desert actually. Here I live in Southern California, and at first it kind of overwhelmed me really, just being out there in the vast emptiness of the desert and sleeping overnight. Kind of was a little intimidating, I would say at first, but I quickly took to it and started to really enjoy it. And that led to many car camping trips over the years with friends and family. And then one particular trip I went on with some friends. It was a car camping trip, and we were relatively uh, in the outskirts, I would say, of Kofa, Arizona, and off some of the trails there that you needed 4x to get to some of these camp spots. And so I felt, you know, like we all do when we go out there, we're trying to find a space that's kind of in the wild and away from uh, the rat race, if you will. And on that camping trip, we had some tourists roll up on us on some rented 4x that were curious about some of the local mines. And we kind of showed them which direction to go and check out the mines. And they checked them out, came back somewhat disappointed. And anyway, that was kind of a catalyst for me to think about other ways to get into the wild and maybe get a little further to not get tourists to roll up on you like that, when you think you're somewhat secluded. And so that led to backpacking. And I got into backpacking from a store that I visited called Adventure 16 in San Diego. And I went into that store with some friends at the time just to go get some supplies for our car camping trip. And I really didn't have any idea what the store was all about. And as soon as I walked in, I was blown away. Just stepped into a whole nother wilderness, if you will, and saw the log cabin there and all the decor and the way it was, decorated, and just the overall vibe in there was just, it was quite an experience. And I think everyone feels that the first time they walk into that store. And so we bought our gear that we needed for that car camping trip. I particularly just needed a water jug and got it and left. And then, so later on, when I decided to get into backpacking, well, I knew where to go. Because in that store had some really serious backpacking equipment, climbing equipment, hiking equipment, everything you needed from head to toe, really. So I went in and I began my journey of backpacking, and I was immediately taken aback by just the level of knowledge and the the vibe of the people that work there is just great and very helpful every step of the way. Every piece I purchased was the right one, and they helped me along that journey of building my gear, because it can be a little daunting when you're building your gear for backpacking. Like any hobby you get into, it can be expensive at first, but if you have something you really enjoy and you know you're going to be doing it, and you've been out there a few times, you know the value of each item, uh, the level of quality and design, and A16 was on top of that. They knew all the good products, and they had good selection of each for you to choose from, and they helped you choose it. So from then on, I was a A16 customer, and I became somewhat a regular there in the early 2000s, as I would purchase my gear and then I would get paid and pay my bills, and whatever I had left over, put some into savings, and whatever was left over from that, I could buy something. And so that's what I did, and that was a big treat for me. At the time, I worked freelance film industry, so I had to really save up for the slow times and make sure I had enough money to pay pay my bills for 6 months to a year in advance sometimes. So I had to really watch it. So when I did get extra money left over after everything was taken care of, it was a big treat to go in there and buy something. And good backpacking equipment, outdoor equipment in general, is very expensive. So you want to make the right decision. Um, and they certainly helped me do that. Everybody at A16 helped me do that. From the managers to the employees, you name it. Every time I walked in, it was just a great experience, and I began to really look forward to going there, and just hanging out. And that's what I did a lot of times. I hung out, talked to the employees, and got to know them a little bit, and it was just a real treat.